Yes! 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 Oh no! Oh no! You know what sound that means? It's time for In the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. We are back in the south of France for possibly the last time for a while, since there is no French Grand Prix scheduled in the future here. We're an hour's drive from the city of Marseille. We're in Les Castellettes for the 62nd time. It's the French Grand Prix. Marseille is the gateway to the French Riviera. Did you know that, Michael?
I did not know that. I don't know much about the French Riviera. Maybe you can educate me.
Well, while you're there, maybe in Marseille, Michael, maybe you want to take a visit to the island fortress Chateau d'Oeuf. It was built in 1524. It was built to protect the city of Marseille. That was built a long time ago out there on its own little island. Or you could take a stroll at the old port and grab a glass of wine and some cheese on a sidewalk cafe. But this is a no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing at the Paul Ricard circuit for the 18th time. 3.63 miles, 2 DRS zones, 15 corners. You give it the full beans for 65% of your lap. And what a race we saw today. Leclerc was on pole, held on to the start, looked pretty comfortable until lap 18 when, oh no! Oh no! No! Leclerc loses the back end, crashes out. It's an absolute disaster. Max was in second, goes on to win the race. Mercedes takes a second and third after Russell passes Sergio, who was like napping there after the virtual safety car. We're caffeinated. We're medicated, Greeny. Good evening, sir.
The lights of Paris. The river of Seine could not prepare the Ferrari's fans' mind. Because Sunday in France, your team took a chance, and the end result was Le Pew. Oh, the mountains of green and the farms in between heard Leclerc scream out, "It's true." The faces of men, head in their hands, as Ferrari once again, they blew. Oh, France is not kind, too tragically blind. Get the heck out of town. Le Pew. Oh. Yeah, that was Le Pew.
Yeah, that was the Pew.
Wasn't it?
That was the Pew. That was absolute debacle. Absolute debacle.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Again, reliability, Ferrari.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
I mean, Ferrari
Driver
engines
error.
up and down the
Can't
board.
have it.
Up and down the board. Up and down the grid,
Wasn't the
Ferrari
engine?
engines. No good.
There's nothing wrong with the Ferrari engine yesterday in the Ferraris. There was just straight up driver error. That's what that was. Straight up driver error.
Anyway. Greedy the Cheese F1, or Greedy the Cheese in the Paddock F1. We are back after a dramatic day in France. Much more dramatic than Ferrari fans would like. Much less dramatic than maybe Mercedes fans would like. Hello, two Mercedes on the podium. Hello. Very, very exciting day for Mercedes. Very exciting day for Red Bull. Not a very exciting day for Ferrari. And most of the rest of the grid, Greeny the Cheese in the Paddock F1. We are here. And you heard the pain in this man's voice. It looks like Ferrari's starting to fall apart a little bit here. You got driver error this week. You got reliability issues. At least Carlos put up a good fight coming from the back of the grid. But it's
Carlos had a good
Max
drive
in the end with a win. Lewis in second. And George Russell in third. Great showing for Mercedes. A 7th win this season for Max. And away we go. Cheese, how are you feeling after that debacle?
Disappointed.
Did Carlos Sainz give you any hope? And
I mean, it was a really good drive
cheer.
for Carlos. Definitely good drive from Carlos. Safety car from his teammate pretty much ruined his strategy, to be honest. But the tires that they had remaining and such, didn't have another set of hard, so he had to go medium after that. He had to come in and pit there late. after he passed Sergio to get up into fourth. But he had to pit. Wasn't going to make it to the end of the race with another 20 laps on the blistered front tires there. So he had to pit again. So anybody who's saying that they didn't have to pit, yeah, come on. If he was going to keep going, he's going to blow those tires up. Let's be real and let's be honest here. But Ferrari is kind of like their own worst enemy right now, to be honest. Leclerc, that was a major driver error. It's something you just can't straight up do if you're trying to win a world title. Bottom line. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I think something like he's probably dropped, from dropping out of races where he's led, he's probably dropped about 73 points on the season right now. And what's the points? What's the lead Max got right now? Like 68?
Something like that. He's got 233 or 235, and I think Charles has 170 or 270. Yeah, something like that. 170. I got it somewhere over here. Anyway, it's not good. It's not close at the moment. This is what you're trying to convey. It's not close. Correct. It's clearly, and no pun intended here, in the rear view mirror, and much closer in Charles Leclerc's rear view mirror happens to be Sergio Perez, who's only a better one more race away from potentially passing Charles Leclerc if he comes in, I think, second or better, and Leclerc comes in fourth or worse. And were we Hungary next? Next week.
Hungary next, and yep,
we'll be at the break with Leclerc in third. So we're only one more mistake away from getting to the break with not Charles Leclerc in first or in second. You're talking third. Third, the guy who was at one point many people's favorite to win, including your own, to win the Drivers' Champion this year, and is heading into break more than halfway through the season, potentially into third place if he does not show up this week. So, yeah. Yeah, I'd be a little worried. Not the kind of season Ferrari fans that Tifosi and yourself were expecting.
No, right now they're their own worst enemy at this point in time. I mean, forget about Red Bull right now. It looks like the Ferrari definitely even has the better package going right now, but forget about anybody else. They got to get out of their own heads. That's where they're at right now. They just get in their own way. They're their own worst enemy. And if you want to win a world title, it's not the way you do it, man. Basically, you're going to have to start, almost win out from this point on, really. Or get a bunch of, 2 cars on the podium to even be able to catch Red Bull in the constructors.
Yeah, well, speaking of the constructors, listen, if you take a little step back and take a look at the constructors, especially over the last 4 races, you ready for this? Red Bull over the last 4 races, 117 points. Ferrari over the last 4 races, 115 points. Mercedes over the last 4 races, 109 points. So you're talking an 8-point difference between the number 1 and number 3 constructors over the last 4 races. So it is tighter than it seems because all teams are struggling and having issues up and down. But yes, Max has 7 wins on the season. And what does Charles have? 3. So, there's your difference right there. And, Charles, he can't string together. Neither Ferrari can string together any kind of more than 4 weeks in a row or 4 races in a row. They can't. Alpine's put together 7, 8 races in a row of point scoring. Most teams in the top 5 have put on 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row or races in a row of point scoring performances, and Ferrari hasn't had that. The most they've had this season was 4 races in a row that they've had point scoring races. So the consistency is the worst enemy here, because you can see cumulatively over the last 4 races there really is a pretty tight between those 3 constructors. But if you look at consistency over the entire season, that's where we're lacking. Where Ferrari's lacking because they have some bad weeks, and where they score no points or double DNF. That really hurts the season. Those double DNFs and these DNFs add up. And listen, Ferrari's right there. They are right there potentially, and we've seen where Mercedes has come from. They've come from behind. They're bringing up the rear right now, and they're looking better and better as
Mercedes
they're closing
looked
in.
improved. Mercedes looked improved.
They definitely look
with
improved.
The new upgrades.
But overall, over the last 4 races, we're pretty much in as close to a dead heat as possible as far as the performance of the vehicles. So now you're talking about the performance of the drivers, and clearly, Max Verstappen is the best driver in the best car right now. But I think even more so, Lewis Hamilton. We're not talking enough about Lewis Hamilton, because what he's doing right now, once again, another podium. He's closing in on 200 podiums? Are you kidding me? As we talked about last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, where Lewis Hamilton has, only 20 drivers in Formula One history have had started 200 races. Only 20 drivers in Formula One history have started 200 races. I'll repeat it again.
300.
And Lewis Hamilton is closing in on 200. Was that
300 races? 300.
No, I'm pretty sure it
was 300.
I'm pretty sure
it was
20 drivers have started.
That was his 300th.
Oh, it was 300th Grand Prix. Lewis's 300th Grand Prix.
Yes.
So he's podiumed in almost 60+% of any race he's been in. I mean, that's insane. That's insane, and he's still doing it. You know, 60. If you would think 60% of the time, that's like, I don't even know what to compare that to. It's astronomical, and we all know Lewis Hamilton's numbers are astronomical. But I mean, right there, 300 starts and close to 200 podiums. That's insane. That's just domination, because he's had some of the most starts in Formula One history. I mean, he was only 40 starts off. I forget what Kimi Räikkönen had, like 340 or 350 or something. And Fernando Alonso is right there. He's right behind him. And it's nuts. I mean, he just keeps going, and he's under the radar. He was even surprised at his second yesterday, but there he was, him and George Russell. And remember, he was not outperforming George Russell earlier in the season, and now he's consistently outperforming George Russell. Whatever Lewis had to get right with himself, I know he had some mental health struggles early in the season, but he adjusted to the car, he adjusted to himself. And I think he's in a good mental place right now, and got to give it up for Lewis Hamilton. So impressive what he did yesterday. And yeah, I mean, Max is great. Probably is the best driver out there. But he's got a great car. And Lewis's car is not as good, and he's hanging right there again. And who knows? But it's making for an exciting end of the season. But if Max can't be stopped, he controls everything now. He's far enough ahead. He has everyone in the rearview mirror, far enough in the rearview mirror where he's controlling the game. And for those doubters from last season and those haters, you might get a legitimate Max Verstappen championship this year. Any final thoughts on yesterday's race before we head into our first little break here?
Not really, man. I think we pretty much rocked that. We pretty much covered all the big bits. The big fasty news for the week, except, no more French Grand Prix coming up, it looks like.
Yeah, no French Grand Prix and no Monaco still on the calendar next year. That's pretty crazy.
No Spa's on the calendar for next year yet either.
That's pretty crazy at the moment. Things not might change, but will change. But at the moment, no Spa, no France, and no Monaco in the 2023 calendar. But we do have Las Vegas and Miami, so chew on that one for a while. We'll be back after this. the Paddock F1 Greeting the Cheese. We are back. Oh, yeah. Making some liner notes here as technology does not want to work with me today. But it's okay.
Sounds
we're here.
right.
Yeah, it does not want to work with me today. Not my friend. Never was and may never will be. But here we are once again as I have my flame retardant suit on. Got my helmet on. Hoping not to make any mistakes, and I'm gonna have to curse and pound my wheel too and start throwing stuff. Screaming and yelling. That was a heck of a screaming and yelling by that was primal by Charles Leclerc yesterday in France.
Yeah, I've had one of the. I've had quite a couple of those.
Anyway,
Had a couple of those. All right, sir. Well, it is that time for the Quizmaster's cockpit. Are you ready, sir?
never ready, but I'll take what you can throw at me. Who the heck knows what I'm going to get this week? I don't know much about the history of. I know some, but I'm not like some historian as far as the French Grand Prix goes. But we'll see what you got for me, and I'll see what I got for you. No excuses. It's go time.
Question 1. Including today, how many French Grand Prix have been held?
Oh, he gives me a cookie. Thank you. First of all, thank you. It's 62. Thank you. He's back to the cookies. He's back to first grade. Tried to get like college level. I had to take it back to first grade again. Thank you. I appreciate that. So 1. And started easy.
That's 1.
As well.
That's right.
Here we go. Let's turn it up a notch. I know that was not going to be as hard as it gets.
Question 2. How many circuits have held the French Grand Prix, and name them?
You probably can't even pronounce half the places that they race. Well, I know obviously Paul Ricard. I don't remember.
That's 1.
It's like Rhyme Go. Was that the old one from like this late 50s?
I'll give it to you. Rhymes, I'll give it to you. That's 2.
What was the original one? The first one in 1950.
Rhymes.
It's like Rovin Laessis or something.
No, it was Rhymes.
Rhymes was the original one?
Yes.
5
seconds.
Yeah,
2,
I got nothing.
1. Rouen, 52, 57, 62, 64, and 68. Charade, 65, 69, 70,
right.
72. Le Mans in 67. I mean, come on, dude. You got to get Le Mans at least.
Yeah, I forgot the
That's
original one.
sad.
67, yeah.
Dijon, 74, 77, 79, 81, and 84. And the other modern circuit that's held the Grand Prix, Magny-Cours, from 91 to 08. I mean, I expect you to get that one. I'm very disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Magny-Cours. I don't know how you didn't get Magny-Cours. I'm very disappointed in that one. Very disappointed in you.
I knew there was so many early ones, so many early tracks that I just totally forgot. And, I knew going in, obviously, some of those tracks are pretty obvious.
So that was 2 out of 7. 2 out of 7. So that's a big fat no.
Yeah. Should have known the tracks.
And your final question of the week, sir. What driver has the most wins at the French Grand Prix, and how many do they have?
Which driver has won the most French Grand Prix? Is that the question?
Yes, and how many?
It's not Prost. Prost has won a lot, though. I think Prost has 6, but he's not the most. Schumacher. Is it Schumacher? Michael Schumacher, specifically.
Yes. And how many?
He has more than 6. 8?
That is correct.
Wow.
That is correct.
I knew Prost had 6, and they didn't have the most. So Schumacher was a good guess. And no one's ever won 9, so 8 was the right guess.
That is correct, sir. 2 out of 3.
A little deductive reasoning,
savvy.
but still a big fail. And old French tracks, obviously, I know squadouche about old French tracks.
Well, I guess you're going to have to, get out that book and start reading, I guess, huh?
That book and slap myself in the face with it. That's what I got to do.
So that'll take us into
osmosis.
losers. So that'll take us into losers this week.
Once again. It's again in the realm.
I really didn't have too many losers this week, to be honest. I gotta leave one particular for you. The whole team wise for that one, so I'll leave that for you. I got Tsunoda, getting spun out by Ocon in the first lap, kind of ruined his race. I think it ended up with a hole in the side pod, so that was pretty much the end of that for him. And really just Leclerc then. Yep, and then Leclerc, just absolute disaster. Driver mistake that you can't do if you're trying to win a world title. Bottom line. That's really all I had for losers, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alfa Romeo is becoming now a joke. They're becoming back into reality again, as they have no ability to score points right now. Valtteri Bottas is now, who's like 9th in the standings, and now can't even score points. He is definitely regressed, and the car has regressed greatly. I mean, listen, you got to give it up for Joe for finishing the race. I think he got lapped 6 times by Verstappen yesterday. I mean, come on. He got lapped 6 times yesterday. That's all you got to know about what's going on at Alfa Romeo right now. And of course,
I'm honored. I'm here supporting Team Haas.
I don't know how honored I am this week. That was a bad job this week by Haas. They really couldn't get out of their own way. Obviously, K-Mag with the DNF, but even Schumacher out there.
I mean, Mick got spun out. It wasn't his fault. When Zhou lost his front end and hit him in the back when he was on the outside. I mean, you can't blame totally on that, but that pretty much ruined your race. The early pit stop call for both of them. What was that?
Yeah.
On lap 10?
What happened in
was that on like lap 10 and 11?
Qualifying? What happened in qualifying to put yourself in the back of the pack to begin with?
And he got his lap thrown out.
So, exactly.
Mick got his lap thrown out, so.
Mick don't,
and K-Mag was taking an engine penalty.
Well, K-Mag was taking an engine penalty, and K-Mag had a DNF anyway. But it's just another disappointing week after coming off a hot week for Haas. We're back with the no point zone. And really, honestly, I really want that 6th place on the season for Haas. I really think it's possible right now. But when Alfa Romeo stinks, you got to pass them. And it's just any week now without Haas scoring a point is not a good week. And that's it. You gotta show up, especially when you have at least one car up there. It's just disappointing. Maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe there's not too many losers this week, but the DNF and a 15th isn't going to do it for me.
K-Mag gets the upgrades next week, apparently.
Apparently so. We'll see what happens before break. We see if they can score some points.
K-Mag's
this coming week.
Apparently, they're bringing upgrades next week in Hungary, and K-Mag is the only one that'll have them. That is what I've heard.
That's interesting. Well, I guess what you heard and what we'll see. Let's see if they're different. But as of now, Haas is definitely on the had a crap
on
week.
on the Le Pou, Le Pew. Another little bit more Le
Ferrari's
Pew.
Le Pew. Ferrari's Le Pew. Because you weren't expecting it. Like Pepe Le Pew. You're out at dinner. You meet this nice other skunk you can have this great relationship with. Because you think he's a cat. But he's not a cat, he's a skunk. And then it's Le Pew, Le Pew. We've all seen it. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Ferrari came in dressed like a cat and left like a skunk. Haas has always been a skunk, so that's where we are.
All right, so that'll take us to the winners.
Let's go do some winners.
Let's see. Carl, you got to get it for Carlos coming from the back to finish 5th. That was a good drive from Carlos. The ageless wonder, Fernando Alonso, 6th place. I mean, the guy just keeps doing it. The guy's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest, especially at the age he's at. To be on the level that he drives is absolutely unbelievable. And then I'll say McLaren. Both guys in the points. Danny in the points. Give it up for Danny. That's what I got for winners, sir.
So you just took the whole entire rest of the field. Great. Great. That's good. Anyone else who scored points besides Mercedes and Red Bull? You did leave me Esteban Ocon, who, I mean, in self-admitted, he didn't like the day yesterday. He didn't have a good day, by his own admission. But yeah, he did pick up 2 places and started 10th, finished 8th. I'm sure he'll take that in a double point day for the team. And listen, I once again, you got to give it up for Mercedes. I know usually we use this time for the lesser, but everyone from the top to the bottom at Mercedes, what they're doing right now to put 2 cars on the podium this week after everything they've been through this season is just really remarkable and really impressive. So I got to give it up for everyone at Mercedes, and they're quietly doing it. They're quietly doing it, and that's very unusual for a team that has won 8 straight constructors to be underdogs every week and putting up 2 vehicles on the podium. That's a lot more difficult than it looks, and I got to give it up for them because they are coming. They're on the come. 2 races in a row with 33 points. They have not scored over 30 points in any race all season. Now they have back-to-back with 33. Obviously, they are doing better and better, and it helps Mercedes that Ferrari can't get both their vehicles over the finish line each week. So that is definitely, I'm sure, very helpful for both Red Bull and Mercedes. And those are my winners, sir. Which brings us, of course.
You're not going to give it to the dumpster fire for Aston Martin, who got the points there, are you?
What think of Lance Stroll got a point?
I mean, they did get in the points for that dumpster fire.
I got nothing for you. I'm not going to give him a winner. I got nothing for you. Aston Martin came out and just replicated the Red Bull vehicle and has doo-doo results each week. And now, after they basically copied probably some insider information being stolen. The only reason Red Bull's not saying anything is because Aston Martin has accumulated a point. And Seb, don't get me started with Seb. It's amazing he kept it off the loser list once again, just as he's finishing races. But I'm not even starting. Team stinks. Aston Martin stinks. You get no winners for Aston Martin. All right. You should slap yourself just to try to put them in the winner's circle because they stink. Only reason they even scored a point is because you had accidents behind. You had what happened with Zhou and Schumacher, and then you had 4 vehicles with DNFs. This is the only reason Stroll even had a chance at the points this week. He just finished the race. So congratulations. You're not a winner just for crossing the finish line. So you want to put words in my mouth again? Go ahead, put words in my mouth. Aston Martin is not a winner. You want to give him a winner? You picked half the field. You give him a winner. Are you bold enough to give Aston Martin a winner this week? Are you bold enough to give Aston Martin a winner this week? Would you
Give
do
me
it?
something. No.
Give me Aston Martin. Pee up a tree.
Oh my god!
All right, so once you compose yourself here,
I can't even do slap myself right now. That should be the slap right there for the week. You just went off. I think that might be just a slap. Just let it go. Let it go. I mean, come on. That was a power rant. That was a power rant. You gotta just let that one go. That was a power rant.
So there you go.
Slap.
Aston Martin,
slap.
you got a point, and you can still slap yourself. That's a season slap. It's a season slap for all the junk you've done this season. It's embarrassing. Aston Martin is embarrassing this season. Congratulations. Who I loved for years. Who I loved, especially in the Red Bull days, as I was definitely a big fan of Seb in the Red Bull when he was winning. Seb's been terrible. Seb's been terrible the last month and a half here. Let's be frank. Anyway, so that's the segment. We got slap. You do save your slap. You'll save it for next week. Maybe we'll do a highlight show during the break there, and we'll bring it back. But anyway, Greenie the Cheese in the Paddock F1. Of course. Visit us on YouTube. Greenie and the Cheese on YouTube. That's Greenie and the Cheese on YouTube. And of course, in the Paddock F1 at Twitter. In the Paddock USA on Twitter, in the Paddock USA at gmail.com. We've been getting more and more people reaching out, so amazing. We keep getting more Twitter followers somehow. Amazing. Thanks for everyone reaching out. Thanks for all the new listeners. We got all these new listeners over the last few weeks here. So that was amazing. I didn't know where all these people are coming from, but thank you all for listening, especially the new listeners. And we'll be back momentarily. Greenie and the Cheese in the Paddock F1. We're back after this.
Ah, yes, we're back in the Paddock F1. Greenie and the Cheese. Oh yeah, let's get that island theme music going. Oh yeah, so we're taking that ride on the fantasy island of Greentopia, where the beer flows like wine and the wine flows like beer, and the cannabis grows as far as the eye can see. And we're headed to the top of the hill to that casino in the sky. Tickets in hand. Are we cashing in? Or are we checking out?
So this was an interesting week. So let's go over your picks first, and I'll explain why in a moment. All right. So you picked Max for the win, and you got it. Very smart to stay away from the ponies. So you bet 50. Max paid out as usual 1-1. So or 2-1. So you get 100 back on your 50, and you picked the very popular pick to come from the behind to gain the most places, which was Carlos Sainz, which he hit. And once again, you get 2-1 on that. And your trifecta included a Mr. Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, who did not finish the race. You had Max in first and Hamilton in third. So not bad foresight there. But not enough for the trifecta, which would require 1, 2, 3 in a row. So it puts you in a position that you were plus 100 greenie bucks on the day, giving you a total of 5,510 greenie bucks. Comfortable. You are plus 10% on the year, so not bad in like 14 or so races. Not too shabby. Now we go to me, which is interesting. All right. So here's the problem. I didn't get my picks in time. That's a big slap yourself on my end. So what do we do? penalty, or it's just no harm, no foul. You get $0 because you guys made 0 bets, and the bets you make are the bets.
I think a penalty is in order.
If I didn't bet this week, it's just my own fault, my own ability to not win cash, win greeny bucks, as you won plus 100 greeny bucks. Take that down to the island and buy some drinks if you could, but you can't. So you won 100 greeny bucks. So plus, and obviously I could be 0, but the popular opinion, we should do a Twitter poll as well, but the popular opinion here, that I should take some kind of penalty because it's unacceptable. Besides just getting nothing, all right? That would be easy. You didn't show up to the casino in the sky. You didn't make your bet. You just didn't show up. So therefore, no harm, no foul. But this is Greentopia.
That's right.
Things don't work like that. So I'm going to self-impose myself a penalty.
I think that's fair.
Take 300 beans.
I think that's fair.
Hurt a little bit. It's got to hurt a little bit. So that brings me under
get that powder in the sand in there. It's a powder and sand.
I am now negative ROI. I am negative ROI at them. I am now negative ROI for the first time all season with 4,950 greeny bucks. You, sir, 5,510, as I aforementioned, greeny bucks, giving you about 10% ROI on the season, and me a negative ROI on the season. So go ahead and do your happy dance or whatever dance you do there. Because you've taken
too early for any type of happy dance.
A healthy lead as we come down the later middle part of the season here. On that note, sir, we only have one thing left to do. Because, of course, life in the fast lane. Are you ready?
I'm always ready, sir.
This week, we're going to concentrate on the point standings, both in constructors and drivers. So if you're ready, sir.
Fire at will, sir.
As you always... Let's go. Carlos Sainz is only 1 point in front of George Russell. At what point will George Russell pass Carlos in the driver's standings?
I don't think he will. Next.
Lance Stroll has finished ahead of Sebastian Vettel 3 of the last 4 races. Is Lance poised to finish ahead of Seb by the end of the season?
Oh, who cares? It's Aston Martin next.
AlphaTauri has not scored points in 4 consecutive races. What is wrong with that other Italian team?
They just definitely didn't hit the car this year, obviously. I mean, the car's just not good enough. Plain and simple. Next.
Mercedes put up 33 points this Sunday. For the second week in a row, their highest point total of the year in a single race. When will Mercedes pass Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship?
I don't think it's going to happen. Next.
Fernando Alonso is 7th straight race in the points. Only one of 5 drivers to do that this season. 7 straight races in the points. Are you still shocked by what the legend is doing?
I mean, at this point, you probably shouldn't be shocked because he just continually does, and he's just absolutely ridiculous. So, but yeah, I can see if you are. Next.
Haas is fighting for 6th in the standings now, only 15 points behind Alfa Romeo. After this week's performance, is Haas still considered a midfield attraction?
No, I think Reality Check came back into order this week, so Haas stinks. Next.
Lando Norris scored points for the 9th time this season and blows away his teammate in the total point standing. Is Lando the best of the rest?
Probably. I mean, one of the big upcoming stars in Formula One, and he's a solid driver. Even with this inferior car, he still throws it up there. So, absolutely, next.
Sergio Perez is only 7 points behind Charles Leclerc. At what point this season was Sergio Perez going to pass your pick for champ?
It's pretty soon if Charles doesn't get his head out of his rear end next.
All 3 Ferrari engine cars scored a total of 11 points in France, while the one Renault engine scored 12. Is it time to hit the panic button for Ferrari?
Your panic button was hit like weeks ago. Where you been? Next.
Charles Leclerc threw a fit after DNFing in the race. When's the last time you pounded your steering wheel that hard?
After the Jeddah Grand Prix in my Team series on YouTube, when I spun out and lost it,
screamed. You screamed in your house like that.
Yeah. That's not the only time I've done it playing that game. I remember in last year's game, I was about to win my first Grand Prix online and blew it in the Ascari at Monza, and I let out a primal roar too, a primal no. So yes, absolutely done it.
All right, well, that's all we got for you this week from France, but where are we heading to next, Cheese?
Hungary in a week's time. The Hungarian Ring, the last race before the summer break. Hungarian Ring is going to be hot.
Could be hot.
It always is the Hungarian Ring.
It's always hot in the U.S. here. It's been hot. It was like, I don't even know, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It was like almost 50 degrees Celsius on the track this weekend. Holy,
it was 56,
moly.
I think, during the race.
Holy moly. That's some serious heat, ladies and gentlemen. That's serious heat. It looks like we're gonna continue to have some serious heat here. So I think summer break couldn't have come at a better time. Hopefully everyone stays healthy and well going into this week, into Hungary, and gets into the summer break. And a little bit of rest for these teams, because they have, between the porpoising and the heat now, these guys' bodies have taken a real toll this season. So they probably need this break more than ever. They'll have almost a month off between races, and that's all I got, man. So we'll see you very soon. Short week here. So we'll see you very soon. We'll be back in less than a week with more Greeting You the Cheese in the Paddock F1. And say what you got to say, brother.
I will see you in a week's time. As always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.